Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go. Good morning, everyone. Today's Friday, November the 7th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and we have delightful charts by TrendSpider and gamma flows from Menther Q. Okay, so what are we taking a look at in the E-mini S&P? Looks like a pretty good trend. It's been I'll count this day as it fell off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of relative downward flow. It's been a long time since we've had that. Look at the momentum reading here. And if we go to the past, it's been a hot minute since we've seen flows just stay here for days and days and days. Now, we've seen them stay in the neutral zone and in the buying zone, but we've got ourselves a little bit of an interim sea change here. Just wanting to show you how this momentum indicator looks right now. It looks very different to the way price action has looked in times past. So let's take a look at the 1 hour chart, a little more granular. We can see that we are in this downward flow. Dips are still buys, but the dips are deep. Okay, so bounces are sells. Trend formations give us downward flow, momentum, downward flow, lots of heavy price action yesterday, really significant amount of flows, both trying to get back up and the initial flows down. So to me, this is something to watch. So what's the storyboard? We have the call wall at 6,800. Let's just call it 6,800. We've got the big call resistance still at 7,000. End of the month flows. And we have our put wall and our 0 DTE put support sitting down at 6,700. Okay, so we've got a range that's about 100 points wide. We are in the lower half of this channel, and 6,772 looks like clean resistance at this juncture, right? We had the break above it before the day opened, and then pre-market action clearly shows this break. All of this accumulation here in this box is telling us a very specific story. My suspicion is that we will replicate this move down, and that will put us just about on top of the put wall. So what am I saying? I'm saying bounces into the VWAP somewhere around 6,750, and then the failure to hold 6,738 going to give us selling zones. Notice this big wick. We have buyers coming into the fray at 6,717. So what do we want to do? Remember, how do you tell that you're breaking out with force? If you fail the region and then bounce and cannot recapture the midpoint of all of this motion, you've got downside pressure. And I think we have downside pressure, right? We're seeing it very clearly right here. Bounces are sell zones for now. Anchored VWAP 6,765. Here's my thought. Probably not a great idea to go long on the recovery of this 6738, 6740, unless it's retested in some sort of pattern like this, and then we would expect it to go to the top of congestion. That being said, my expectation is that we move downward and build some more pressure here. Notice what's been happening is we have these afternoon inflows that directionally reverse where we've been. And so this morning fade yesterday gave us the midday bounce, and then the 2 o'clock reversal. And so here we have a 2 o'clock stall and then a 3 o'clock reversal. Here we have a 2 o'clock stall and then a continuation. So we're seeing a lot of movement at around that 2 p.m. formation for our Hive members. This is why I'm choosing this 2 p.m. on Monday for us to work together. Going to be good price action. So that's what we're staring down. A lot of negative news. Here's something super interesting. BlackRock and one other company has started unwinding their holds in senior communities. I expect that there is some sort of pressure beginning to build in the housing space. It could be a signal if we start seeing private equity and some of these bigger companies move out of the housing space. It could bring us a dip for people who want to buy houses in the future, because a number of my kids are looking for houses, and they have just what they want to have is just being really priced very, very high. So we could be seeing something great for them in the short term. All right, let's take a look at the NQ. The NQ in the same channel, also on the lower edge of the channel. Same sort of momentum we're seeing across the board on the 4-hour. Same break. Accumulation here. Actually, I'm going to move this line up because on the hourly chart, you can see clearly this is the accumulation. And this is the accumulation break. Now, this wick that we see here at the 5 a.m. wick, that bounce does not even clear here. So this looks even more bearish than the ES. What is current resistance? 25,350. Could it get above that? Yes, but the loss below it going to give us the price action that gives us a short. Remember, once we re-enter an accumulation space, it's very likely that we get to the top of the framework. Wow. Of inventory accumulation. So we want to be careful of that. Okay? So that being said, trend down, momentum definitely down. Same sort of thing, a lot of volume in both directions. Yeah, we've got ourselves some price action that looks pretty bearish. Now today is Friday. It's been bullish in the past. I'm not quite so sure they're going to be able to do it today. Where do I expect price action to fade from? Well, if we have inventory building in this ledge and then we replicate it, it's going to be just like the ES, heading to the 0 DTE put wall, and that's at 24,980. Who would have thought that at the beginning of this week, 2,000 points away, right? Just about. We are heading into this zone. Gamma line below 24,750. I'm not really sure that we sell off like that because we have so many reflexive buyers and people still thinking, hey, this is another buy the dip event. Market forces are going to deliver something, but we don't quite know what. All right, so here we have negative flows, call wall way up here at 26,000. When do the buyers take off and start running the show? At the breach of this 25,350, right? They are very likely to have sellers saying, oh my, I got to get out of this trade. And so watch for that. Also, here's something happening. See this bounce? It's trying to hold a floor here. Remember, once it gets inside of this box, the minimum ledge that it comes into is usually the 50%. And when the VWAP is flat like this, expect the move to the top. So you want to be very careful if you're trying to take a short at that 50% zone and watching for the fade. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. As I mentioned, Bitcoin is a little bit of our liquidity marker. You can see it fading. Now, I did say, hey, listen, when they come into that 100,000, they're going to try and hold it again. The put support is 0 DTE is sitting right at 100,000. The call resistance area is right about 104,000. Call wall continues to move down. Put wall staying still. And so this accumulation event, support to resistance to support, traders are expecting a double bottom here. If you want to trade this one, not a bad idea here for a good setup at the test of value area low, the bounce above the put support, then you take some profit, watch it come back, give you a higher low, and you're going to be looking at something like this that gives you a rally right back up to the point of control and the anchored VWAP. But this is a space where we go, hey, listen, old support, bounced above the call wall, came back down, now it's testing that put wall again. They're going to try and do it. Here's the thing. If they fail, they're going to have a reflexive bounce, and that reflexive bounce, if we cannot get up over this VWAP, it's going to be trouble. The box of inventory is about $100,800 and $102,700, right? So it's about $900 wide. Be careful there. Let's take a look at oil. Oops. This is a widening framework. Yesterday, when I spoke, I said, hey, listen, we've got some big volatility here. This is the put wall. Look at how inventory's been building, right? Almost 2 weeks sitting between a call wall of 61 and a put wall of 60, right? Traders come in, dance all around. We get to the top, they short it. We get to the bottom, they go long. Now they're battling with the 50% range between these two. Have a look. Let's draw this Fibonacci just on the walls. And you can see this 50% range right at around $60.50 is current resistance. Now I'm going to move this, right, so that we know why this one is being built. Could this be an inverted head and shoulders? Yes. There's a little bit of a fight going on here. I suspect that we could easily come into this $59.50 and bounce off of the floor. If you're looking for that trade, you know, I like the alert off that edge. I don't want it to be too wide, but I also don't want it to be too small, right? Let's see if it comes into that zone. That'll make a great buy point. If it breaks above 60.50, they're going after that call wall again, right? Okay, let's take a look at gold. Same patch. Take a look at the broad price action. We've been sitting in this box since the re-entry October 27th. The range is a bit wider than the walls. We've broken through the call wall several times. People are still thinking, hey, listen, this looks pretty good. Bullish, buy the dip. It looks pretty good. Here's the thing. See this volatility? Just really sharp. The last big volume move lifted us right over this heavy congestion. 3,987. Pull back into this zone. I need to make the stroke a little wider because we are after this volume candle formation. One very big, very sharp volume candle. And so I would stand to reason that this price action is important. Now, if we pull back, see all the chop? This inventory event here is so noisy. But if you're using your 30-minute charts, It's going to give you the high and low that you're going to be able to trade. You could also use a 15-minute or an hourly, but in my mind, the 30-minute is doing the trick. You can see the box, especially above, right? Put wall right below, call wall just above. Just very, very choppy here, but essentially dips or buys. So you want to watch for the break of this trend line, which, you know, we're very close to. So that being said, anchored VWAP underneath 4,000. You know that the harder dips are going to get bought. The big spikes up into the top end of the range near the 4,030 area also likely to be sold. We are caught very sideways in the patch, but overall, I think we're seeing it very well. Put wall again, 39.50. Call wall, 4,000, interesting, 4,020. And momentum chopping back and forth, right? We've got some lift here on the VWAP, but it's not extensive, so I'd be pretty careful. Let's take a look at SPY. This one looks rough, right? Looks like the ES, looks like the NQ, just this fade. I've widened the channel just a bit so that we can see what's going on. Momentum stays. Let's go to the 4-hour and check out the momentum event here. It's the lowest we've seen in... We had one spike here and then a bottoming formation. And now we're just sort of hanging out here, right? The whole trend is slipped. Not a lot of trending motion underneath here. This is very different, folks. It's really, really different to what is normally going on. All right, so that being said, where is support? The point of control on the 4-hour chart is 662. The point of control on a tighter time frame is well above us, 683. Where are the floors of support? We have inventory accumulation here at 666. Everybody all bent about that number. But that inventory event here, that inventory event at that 666, it's a double bottoming below 662. Bounces are clearly sell zones, but we could have a bounce. It is Friday. Inventory accumulation, wow, very messy. If I were to build one, we can see inventory, the break here, and so it's pretty sloppy here on the 1 hour, right? Let's see if we can find a little bit more action on the 30-minute. See the pockets, small pockets of inventory, big break, big candlestick formation, big selling pressure to close the day. And so now we're underneath that 30-minute closing candle. We talk about that a lot. If we recover it, the first line in the sand will be 672. The pullback and hold of that 670 gives us a good solid framework. This is the put wall, so they are going to try and get up over it. If they can't stage a buying pressure event, we could have a very ugly Friday across the board. All right? So that's it for me. Stay frosty, folks. And I will touch base with you on the screens, tell you the next time we're all ready to get together. That will likely be Monday after we've gone through the gauntlet here where I am. All right? Take care, folks. Stay frosty.